Hi everyone, I'm George Cow, and today I'm thrilled to be here with my client Ruth Altschuler. She has a fascinating experience with flower essence and other modalities to help people transform and heal. And she's also going to share some of the lessons she's learned in our work together, particularly the fact that she is relocating her business from primarily being in another country to here in the United States and what that's like. So hi, Ruth. Good to have you here.
Hey, George, it's great to be with you in all these different environments. Thank
Yeah,
you for
you're
inviting
welcome.
me.
Well,
Yeah.
let me first share with everyone your bio, and then we'll go into sharing what you've learned in your business building. So, Ruth has 29 years of experience as a flower essence practitioner, as well as being an educator and mentor in the field. And if those of you who don't know what flower essence is, I'll have Ruth describe it briefly soon. Ruth is a certified practitioner by the Flower Essence Society and has helped flower essence therapy get a lot of credibility and demand in the country of Brazil, where she's from. She first built a business there, that's thriving flower essence practice. And now that she is mainly based in the United States, Ruth is combining her skills as a photographer and her ease with technology with her deep connection to the healing offerings of plants and flowers. And she offers online consultations, courses, and mentoring, as well as a modality that's called voice dialogue. I'll have her talk about that too, for English speaking audiences around the world. Her website is essencementoring.com, and I'll mention that again in the end and, of course, in the notes. So, Ruth, thank you for taking the time to be on this video and share with us some of the lessons you've learned.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. So maybe for people to have a perspective on your business, and then we'll talk about some of the lessons and things that they can take away and use in their own business as well. But just for some perspective, what is flower essence? Maybe we'll start there. Like, what is flower essence for those who may not be familiar, or maybe they've heard of
Yeah.
it and don't know much more than that?
Right. Most people know about the Bach flower essences, but they know because they see little bottles at the stores. But flower essences are actually energy remedies, and they're
Mm.
made from the life force of plants at the peak of their flowering, and they actually contain information related to change and evolution.
Mm.
So they are supportive of our processes of change, of transformation, and of embodying virtues and
Yeah.
qualities that we
Wow.
want to develop.
I love that. I love that your description of that. So, given that you built this practice in Brazil, and now it's like a tree being transplanted from one location to another location, and that's what's happening in your business now. Maybe start to share with us what you've gained from this experience, what you've learned, and what others who are building a business might also learn as well.
Right, and my as you said so well, using an image that I've been liking to use, this process of relocating, especially in the case of my business that was already very well established, is a difficult one because one of the challenges is when you have built a network around seeing people one-to-one in person and also organizing classes with people coming in person, and you're transitioning like many others are in this day and age to more of an online format, and in my case to a whole different culture and environment that requires different kinds of media application, a whole um, marketing, and especially a whole development of relationships, of networks in this new ecosystem. And so, what I've learned, and I'm so grateful for you, George, is you're always presenting us with this big picture, with the framework, and with all of these parts, and how we can do um, gradually an application of these different pieces of this whole that is involved in building a business in ways that are comprehensive, that we don't lose sight of the many pieces, that we do apply some energy to several of them so that we can move and build this business over time. And so you bring this framework, and you also give us so much resources and information on each one of the pieces. And you also give us a sense of perspective that is very realistic, but at the same time you model with your own example how we can succeed, and so we're always inspired to keep moving and keep working.
Thank you. I so appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I so agree that the big picture is what keeps us pointed more or less in the right direction as we build our business. And sometimes when we are trying to learn business and marketing, we take this course or we read that article, and we get really focused on the details that it may lead us off into the wrong or into the direction that we didn't actually intend to. And so this bigger picture. So what would you say for you, from your understanding now, what is the big picture for you for building a business? How are you layering on top? What is important to you?
Yeah, well, one of the things is you helped me see what were the great places in which I had succeeded before as I built this thriving career in Brazil, one layer upon the other. Um, and I was able to incorporate the value that this had. And that was basically how I was able to build these lasting relationships with my audience. And you, George, you always talk about this in such inspiring ways, like we're really building relationships. And what I've been doing now as I work in creating new networks for myself, and also in creating yet again an image of credibility and respect for this modality that I practice. It is a day-to-day creative process of building these relationships through many different ways, and gradually nurturing these relationships. And so one of the ways, for instance, is how I create my Facebook posts, and how I inspire others with what I have to offer. Another level is how I participate in different groups and how I bring my enthusiasm and the pieces of what I know into these different contexts and into these different networks. And in this way, gradually, I'm really building a whole new community, a whole new network, and I'm bringing out my work bit by bit. And I have the total trust that I am in the right track, especially because I'm always kind of guided by this constant inspiration. But not only that, since I have the privilege of being part of your group coaching process, then I also get so much support from the community members and so much feedback that's essential for my process of rebuilding, relocating and rebuilding my business.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's so true that when we focus on nurturing relationships with others in our business, number one, the business is so much more fulfilling to build. We're not doing it in isolation, which happens a lot, especially when we're trying to do something online. It can be very isolating. And so when we focus on the relationships, even just at the beginning through Facebook messaging or something, it becomes more fulfilling. And also, I think that, as you mentioned, it's much easier to get feedback about your offerings when you have relationships with others, because they are eager to help you and also to get referrals as well. So one of the things that I noticed in our group program with your participation is that you've started to share this new modality that you've been practicing called voice dialogue. I don't know if you want to say anything about that,
Yeah, I would
because
love
the
to do
group
that.
has been, I mean, those who have had the experience with you really found it incredibly valuable. And I know it's kind of something that a lot of people haven't heard of before. It's less popular than Flower Essence. Do you want to share something about that?
Sure, yeah. Um, Voice dialogue is a modality that has been created over a few decades by this couple called House and Sidra Stone. And they developed it from uh, deep wisdom that they had in a lot of practice. And so there's different people who train others in this, and I've trained on this modality, and yet it's one that no one in the world is allowed to certify anyone. So it was given from their wealth of experience to the world. And we can all learn to use it both for ourselves and with ourselves, as well as practitioners. So, as a practitioner, what we do is we offer sessions, individual, one-to-one sessions, and we ask people to bring up one inner voice that they feel is kind of dialoguing with them, and they're having kind of difficulty dealing with that inner part of their psyche. And I engage in a conversation with that voice, and they kind of embody that voice. And we discover a lot of things about that part of their psyche, why it's been there, since when, how it's been trying to help them. In the same session, we will also invite another voice that's usually a balancing voice to that one. And we have another conversation with that other voice, and we'll discover this other part of the person's psyche that's been there sometimes since childhood, or maybe it's a more recent part, and it's been trying to help the person accomplish this and this and that. It's been trying to protect the person. And then they come back to themselves, and they're able to know that these voices are not who they are, but that they can be helpful for them, but they can also modulate the presence of these voices. And so, for instance, everyone has an inner critic, don't you?
Oh yeah.
And so, by establishing a renewed relationship with your inner critic, you can understand how it's trying to help you, but you can also perhaps find a good partnership with it. And so that's just a quick example of how voice dialogue operates. There's a lot more to it, though.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's really helpful to hear the introduction to that. Yeah, so I think that's one of the joys of being in relationship with others as we build our businesses. When we do have a new modality or a new offering, we're able to more easily test it out with our existing relationships. They give us feedback on it. They give us testimonials, which you've gotten several positive testimonials already on your Facebook page.
Yeah.
And then, as it's appropriate, they'll give us referrals as well, as they come across friends and family and colleagues who could benefit from it. So maybe what we can do is to talk a bit more about how you are now creating offerings. So for example, you are working on, you have several things you're working on, but one of the things you're working on, and I'm actually looking at the notes here, is to do you have consultations, Flower Essence consultations that are alternated with voice dialogue sessions. Since now that we talked about both, tell us how what that is. And
Yeah,
yeah.
my business comprises two parts. One that's geared mostly towards professionals of flower essence therapy, where I am a real experienced mentor, and the other is geared towards individuals, like maybe you know, so many who are in this audience. Um, I want to specialize, because that's one of my strengths, in helping people who are at a moment that they're ready for this leap, almost like a quantum leap, and they've done a lot of work within themselves, and they also have quite a bit of mastery on what they do, but they need to step up and also to stand out. And so in order to do that, it's really good if they can complete certain internal processes of their own inner work and healing, working with their fears, with some of the voices that are too critical, that don't, support them in daring more. And also with some of their shortcomings, so that they can be fully aligned internally for this sleep. And the other piece, and that's one in which the flower essences are just so very helpful as well, is that there's a whole presence that someone needs to build to become more of a public figure, to bring their work out in a bigger way, to, as we usually say, to find their voice. But that's more than the actual voice itself, even though that's also important. But it's really a presence. It's almost like we need to grow our energy architecture to embrace the ability to facilitate groups. So there's a lot to that we discuss, but that people also can use the flower essences to help in this gradual shift and embodiment of this presence. So what I'm offering is, it's almost ready to be launched in a few weeks, is a package in which people will do the flower essence consultations, as well as a sequence of voice dialogue sessions. And it goes over a period of just a few months, and they will have a clear way of evaluating where they were when they started and where they will arrive as they end, with this shift and this internal alignment of their forces to help them, to propel them towards this leap that they're ready to make. So, yeah.
That's brilliant. I really love that you have the wisdom of the flower essence and the decades of experience you have with it, combined with a new modality, which is even though it's somewhat new to you, of course, you're also integrating all the wisdom of the mentoring and the transformation and healing work you've done for these years. So I hope that some of the people watching this are going to find it interesting enough to contact you. And I do recommend everybody get to know Ruth. She's a wonderful person to know. Just a blessing to have on your side. So, Ruth, how would you like people to reach out to you? What's the best way to connect?
Well, the best way is my website, and there's a contact page, and one can just go ahead and book a 30-minute session so we can talk and find out if, I can help, and if we're a good fit. I also hopefully soon will be able to resume these live events that I like to hold, that are monthly events in which we do an attunement with one plant at a time. And it's
And this is
almost like a
online.
meditation. It's online.
Yes.
And it's almost like a group meditation in
Mm,
which we connect with the archetype of one plant,
mm.
and we immerse ourselves in its qualities, and then we broadcast those qualities to the collective.
Wonderful. Wow. Great. So as we complete this conversation for now, anything else you want to share that might be inspiring for our audience as we depart for now?
Yeah, well, I would love to say that I'm so grateful to you, George Cow, even though that's not what you asked, because being in community and receiving this support and being inspired, you know, it's been really so great for my creativity. And I know that the cross fertilization between creatives is just such a wonderful thing. So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to you and to every single person in Master Hearts, and of course to all these new connections that I've been making, as well as to all my clients and all the many colleagues that I have in Brazil, this amazing community
Mm.
in which I've served, such a big role. And I am so grateful for everything that I've learned, and I am continually receiving back
Yeah.
from them.
Oh, so great.
Yeah.
So those of you who are watching this, if you have any questions for Ruth, I'm going to put the link to her website in the notes of the video. But you can also feel free to comment on the video, especially if you're on Facebook. You can comment and then mention or tag her name or her business. And either way, if you're commenting on YouTube, I'll make sure that Ruth can see your comment there as well. So thank you so much, Ruth, for the beautiful work and the deep work that you do in the world. And I'm just looking forward to seeing you continue to integrate all that your all of your experience and benefits and blessings and share it with others. So thank you, Ruth.
Thank you too, George.